Hello, everybody. My name is Jason, and I'm here with another expression from Sam. Thank you very much, Sam, for donating your time to us today.
You're welcome.
As you can see, audience, she definitely has some body art going on. Looks really cool in person. Hopefully, it comes through in the video. Sam, would you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Hi, I'm Sam. I'm 35. I live in LA, and that's my dog over there. Um, I've been getting tattooed since I was 18, and it's one of my favorite things to do. Um, I work in childcare and private education, and I'm super excited about this passion project.
Well, thank you, and thank you for taking time away from all those very beautiful things you're doing. Um, there's not enough people doing those, so I want to say thank you for getting that done
Thank
too.
you.
Um, Well, we're here to take a look at the body art that we have going on today. But first, I wanted to give Sam here a chance to talk about anything she has going on the side, such as any businesses or anything she'd like to promote. Is there anything you have on mind, or are you good to go?
Oh, I'm a child care expert. I've dealt with kids who have everything from bipolar disorder to autism spectrum disorder, as well as just private neurotypical clients. If anybody needs any help with their kids, whether it be after school care or infants and toddlers, that's my specialty.
What's a good Instagram or a good contact for them?
At Disabled Barbie, which I will have you tagged on
Perfect.
the thing.
I like
Yeah.
that. That's kind of perfect for what's going on right now with that Barbie movie smashing all records.
Yep.
Um, Perfect. And then we're going to go ahead and just jump into this right now. It's going to be me asking you about the first tattoo you ever got.
Um, First tattoo I ever got was a set of flowers with the stem on my lower back. The flowers were modeled after these outlines I had seen on a vintage champagne bottle. And vintage and thrifting is one of my favorite things to do, and I felt like it fit. So I went with it, never stopped.
Wow. How do you think you came to see that inspiration?
I've always been really artistic. Mixed media is kind of my specialty, collage. I also can sew. I like to make things out of other things. I don't like to start with raw materials. So, like, I like to quilt with t shirts. I like to make a collage diary instead of like a regular journal. And part of my artistic expression is like my living space. And it's full of mixed media and things like that. And I fill it with things from thrift stores, which I've always done. And there was a champagne bottle at a Goodwill.
Perfect place, and you never know. This is for everybody out there. Inspiration hits at any given time. Every now and then, a muse just pop out at you.
Yeah, right.
Well, that sounds pretty cool. Can you tell me what it was like for you getting your first tattoo, leading up to it, being in the shop, meeting your artist?
Well, I went to Big Daddy's Tattoo on PCH. I was a walk in, and my boyfriend at the time, because I was still in high school, I was 18. And my boyfriend at the time took me in, explained the process. He had me definitely eat a snack, hydrated, and the tattoo artist introduced himself, although he was kind of cranky. I think he was annoyed that he had another 18-year-old in the shop. But he had me sit on a stool and basically bend over. So we got really close really fast.
That happens with a tattoo artist a
It
lot, I'm
does. It's
sure.
quite intimate experience.
So as far as when the needle touched you first, was it did it hurt or was it surprisingly not painful? How did the process go?
Actually, get a little vulnerable here. I'm actually a disabled person, and I've been going to doctors and I've been sick since I was about 14. So needles don't bother me.
Wow, they bother me. But I'm sure if you've gone through plenty of that, you can pretty much go through almost anything you need to. But let's hope you don't have to go through anything you need to.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing. I know it's not easy to do that. Um, I want to move on now to the last tattoo you've gotten so far, because
The,
there's always room for more.
the last tattoo I got was P, for my dog, Princess Penelope. I chose Old English because her first name is Princess, and I feel that's very regal. And I call her P, and I didn't really think that anything would be representative of her except her name. Like, I didn't want to get a set of ears that could be confused with another dog, or I didn't want to spell her name out, but it's something that I'm glad we'll have because she's literally been with me through everything.
Well, in the short time I've known you, which has been the last 15 to 20 minutes, you telling me you've had her for 14 years?
Yep, 14 years exactly in 3 days. She's 14 and a half.
That's straight up precious.
She is.
And audience, if anybody's watching, that dog is awesome. I like the bandana that's on her. And you saved her.
I did. She is a street dog from a pound.
Wow.
She's a kill shelter that the pound was closing because they were underfunded and they were trying to get all of the animals adopted so that they wouldn't have to euthanize them.
Doing God's work out there, just 100%, aren't you? Well, another thing to say thank you for. As my wife and I are pet lovers, and we can't imagine seeing a dog go through that. And thank you again for taking another one.
Oh, thanks.
But this is one heck of a world. And out of nowhere, you find something like Princess Penelope, and we find our dogs, and all of a sudden, 14 years later,
She actually found me. She fell asleep on my lap, so I was like, well, I guess you're going home.
yeah, she definitely chose you. She trusted you right off the bat.
Yep.
And you guys are here now.
Yes, we are.
That's a pretty awesome journey.
Thanks.
Great one for the people to see. I think it's when you see the possibilities, people can then be like, oh, I can do that too.
Yeah.
Please adopt from local shelters. Moving on, we did talk about another tattoo that you got that you were actually very, very, you thought was very special. And if you want to go ahead and give us some insight on that one as well.
Oh, okay. So I have like an almost done half sleeve going on here. It's floral. It's in mostly my favorite colors, and each of the flowers has a meaning. The first one is the gladiolus, which means strength. The daffodil is for my mother. It's her birth month. We've got the dahlia. We've got the sunflower, which is my favorite flower. Cactus, poppy, and then we have a peony up on the top. My goddaughters are my entire world, and so I actually got flowers that represent their names. So my first goddaughter's first name means honeybee, and her middle name is Rose. And then the top purple one up here is the Cora variety of peony.
Wow, that's a whole garden full of love right there.
Yes.
Wow, what made you decide to get flowers as the representation of your loved ones?
Mostly because I wanted a way to incorporate it into my body without it being like a blatant just like name. I didn't want a like stack of names on my arm, and I wanted a way that I could always add to the sleeve later. So I actually have a list in my phone of the flowers that I get as time goes on. Flowers are also a really great identifier. Like every country and every state has a flower. So I want to get like the Irish and the Armenian represented, and the birth month of my nieces and nephews. And it's a great way to kind of like make a bouquet of everything that you love while having it be a pretty picture.
I think that's very beautiful. It's creative things like this that make what we do at Express Your Art something that we love to do in general. That just kind of warms my heart a bit. So that's pretty cool.
Thanks.
This is getting toward the end now, and I have 3 questions I ask everybody. So the first one I'm going to ask you is, do you think tattoos are becoming more or less popular?
I think they're getting more popular. They're getting more accessible. I think with social media, the power of X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram, where you can showcase your art basically for free. So people are getting a lot more advertising than they would be back when we had to pay people to do that for us. Also, I think it's becoming more of a self-expression that's easier to remove when you don't like it. And I think that that's probably pretty attractive to somebody that would want something temporary or small. I'm not in the market for anything like that, but I actually had a conversation with somebody about that earlier when I told them what I was doing today.
Oh, I mean, that's pretty cool. I can say that everybody I've talked to so far has not had that take on it.
Oh.
So they'll be the first one.
Nice.
Thank you for that unique perspective. Going on to question 2. What do you think about the stigma that has surrounded tattoos for this long, long time up till now.
I think the stigma surrounding tattoos is relegated to a very specific group of people. And because if you look at the history of tattoos, right, you look at tribal tattoos, you look at um, indigenous tattoos. Tattoos have been around as long as human beings have been around, basically. And the stigma is sort of like a new phenomenon that has like a negative connotation, or, like sort of how women didn't used to like to be tan because it would show something about themselves that they didn't like. Tattoos were considered or are considered at one point by some people showcasing a negative trait. And I just don't think that that's accurate. But I also think that it's a specific group of people of a specific demographic that are the ones that have the problem with them in the first place.
I can see that. I can see this question is always kind of loaded, um, but everybody does have a unique take on it that kind of stems from one thing or another. And thank you for again another unique perspective on this one.
You're welcome.
The last question I have is, what do you think the appeal of tattoos are to most people?
That's also a loaded question. Well, there's the appeal of art, there's the appeal of creativity, there's the appeal of being attractive to other people that are in that creative and artistic world. Um, it's sort of like a bat signal. If someone has tattoos, you can sort of find something to bond about, right? Because if anything else, you've sat there and designed something that you love, and that's something beautiful to have in common with another person. But I also think it's just a way that people tell their story, and I know that's how I've told my story over the years. And you could outline everything about me from start to finish, probably in my arm.
Well, I mean, yeah, a lot of times how I kind of saw it was tattoos being like hieroglyphics. They tell a story,
Yes.
and eventually you get to the end, and then you find more.
Yep.
Well, perfect, and thank you again for your time today. This that's basically the whole interview right there. I've gotten to calling them expressions at this point, so thank you for your expression.
You're welcome. Thank you.
And if you ever go for another tattoo, or if you have any ideas, or you're open for us to give a follow up, we would be more than happy to.
Absolutely.
And hopefully, until then, Princess Penelope does well, and hope you do well. And thank you again for your time today.
Thanks. You're welcome.